Welcome to today's tutorial. Now in this tutorial I'm going to be teaching you all about JavaScript functions. Alright. Now a function in JavaScript is a block of code that performs a specific task, and it allows you to write a code once and you reuse it whenever you need it. Alright, so the function is just a block of code that is used to perform a specific task, and it allows you to to write a code once and reuse it whenever you need it. Alright, so you should just think of it like like a machine. You give the machine an input, you tell the machine what to do, then the machine processes that and gives you an output. Alright, so just see your function like that machine, and the code you write in that function are your inputs. And when you call on the function, it does some processing. It's going to process the codes you write inside the statements. All right, the things that you say you should do, then gives you an output. All right, so simple and short, a function is a block of code that performs a specific task. All right, and why do we use functions? We use functions to organize our codes. We use function to organize our code, to avoid repeating code, to make a code reusable and cleaner, to also perform complex tasks in smaller steps. All right, so let's say we want to add two numbers. All right, we can create a function to add two numbers, and whatever we pass into that function is just going to add it. So instead of us to be saying console.log 5 plus 6, we should just create a function that add variable, this variable with another variable. So add something like num1 and num2 together. Right, so our work is just to be passing in value to that function, and the function is going to to be adding those values. So we don't need to be writing that console.log multiple times. We just need to be passing those values to that function. All right, so that is code reusability. All right, and also helps us to avoid repeating the code, and it also helps us to organize our code structure. All right, helps us to organize our code structure. So once we see this function, we know, okay, this function is for addition. We see another particular function, okay, we say, okay, this function is for subtraction. All right, so it helps us to organize our codes. And here we have to perform complex tasks in smaller steps. All right, so let's say we want to write a program to develop, maybe let's say, a simple calculator. Now the calculator has to do with both your addition, subtraction, multiplication, and the rest of that. All right, so if you use function, it's going to break those complex tasks in smaller steps. You know that, okay, this particular function is for addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and all that. All right, so it broke down the complex steps in developing a calculator. As our example, it break down those steps into more smaller steps. All right, for easy understanding. All right, okay, so now this is the syntax of writing a function. Oh yeah, all right, this is the syntax of writing a function. And we have the function keyword, which is this in small letter. Take note, small letter. Then we have the function name, which can be any name of your choice. So you have the function keyword, and this function name can be add, subtract, multiplication, and all that. All right, then you have your opening bracket, you have your closing bracket, and inside you can pass in parameters. All right, so your parameters are just like values that you pass into the function. It can be variables and all that. All right, we'll be seeing more on this. Okay, now then you have your your opening of the curly brace, and you have your closing of the curly brace. And inside you begin to give the the function the different statements or the code that you want the function to to execute when it's being called on. All right, okay, now I also wrote down some explanation here. Okay, now we have this our example one, which is a basic function. All right, so we are going to be creating a basic function. As you can see this, remember, this is how to create your function. Your function keyword, function name, your open and close bracket, your curly brace, and you see inside this function I say console.log, meaning it should output this in our what console. All right, we say it should output what this in our what browser what console, and you can see how we call the function. So to call the function, you just need what the function name and your what and the bracket. So you just need this part. You can see you just need this to what call the function, and you call the function outside the what block of what code, outside the function block of code. Remember, from this curly brace to what this curly brace is known as a what a block of what code. All right, so I'm just going to copy this, and let's go to our Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to be creating a file. Let's say function.html. All right, now if you want to use external JavaScript to try all this out, you can have your JavaScript, let's say functions.js. All right, then you can link it. All right, you can link it function.js. All right, it can be any name of your choice. Remember, it's just a file name, and remember to what make sure it's correct here. Okay, then in your JavaScript file you can begin to what write your script, your JavaScript codes. All right, so let's run this. Okay, then here I'm going to paste what we copied, and let's go to our browser console. You can either come here to click on inspect, then you see your console, or you can use Ctrl Shift I. All right, so you can see it here, you can see the output here. Okay, now if you don't want to use this external method, you can also use the internal method. And internal method, there's no need of linking it. There's no need of linking it. You just do the internal method, and you paste your code. All right, so either ways you still have it. All right, so I can delete this file. So I'm going to be using the internal method. So you can see I'm going to be using our internal method. Okay, so you can see it in the browser console. We can use our document.write. So we get the output on our web page itself. All right, so remember, to create a function, you use the function keyword, then you give it the function name with open and close brackets, then your opening of curly brace, closing of curly brace. All right, then inside the statement that you want it to execute. All right, then here inside this bracket, if you have parameters, you can pass in parameters to inside this bracket. All right, remember, this is how to call the function. So you have the just you can copy this, then paste it outside the function. All right, to call the function. Okay, so let's say we want to create another function after this, and let's say we want to say this function should be add. So let's say function add. So let's say document dot write 5 plus 6. All right, you see that we don't have any output here on our web page. There's no output. So let's call out the function. Remember, to call out the function, you use the function name. All right, and the open and closing of the bracket. So let's say add, then you do this. All Alright, now you can see the output here, we have what, 11. Alright, you can see the output here, we have what, 11. So I can delete this function. So you see we have what, 11. Alright, now we can also do this. You can also use a variable inside the function. You can say let num1 equal to 10, let num2 equal to 15. Then here, okay, we can still come here to say let sum, or let add, or let addition, any variable name of your choice, equal to what, num1 plus num2. Then here we can say you should what, document.write sum. Alright, now you can see the answer here. Okay, so we know that this function is just for what, addition. Alright, so we can have different multiple codes, we can have different codes, alright. Then anywhere we want to use this function, we can just do what, call the function using what, the function name here. We can just call out the function in any part of this what, web page. We can what, call out what, the function. Alright, here I can have a p tag, and I can have a script inside, and I can call out the what, function. You see, I call that the what, function. I can say addition is. So you see, I call that what, this function. So you see how this function is being what, reused. I don't need to write what, this code again. Alright, so this is one of the benefit of what, using what, functions, right, for usability, reusability. Okay, now we can also have another function. So let's create another function. Now we can say this function should be what, subtraction. So the function keyword, small letter, then the function name, we can say subtraction. Alright, then your opening bracket and what, your closing bracket, then opening of the curly brace and closing what, curly brace. Then here we can begin to say, okay, this subtraction should do something. Okay, so let's say we have let's say have num1 also equal to 5. Num2 equal to 3. Then let's say subtract or sub. Let's say let sub equal to num1 minus what, num2. Alright, so we can say document.write ln sub. Alright, so let's see. Okay, then outside this curly brace, we now call what, the function. And remember, to call the function, we need what, this to what, call out the function name and the what, the brackets. Alright, I'm just going to copy this, and here we what, call out what, the function. Now you can see the output here. Alright, we now have what, 2. 5 minus 3 is what, 2. So we can just come here to change the variables. You can see the value of the what, variables. Alright, then if we have any code of our choice, maybe outside this script we have h1. So we can add a script to signify that we want to what, use the JavaScript code. So we can say add, sorry, we can say sub, which is the function name. Okay, no, look at it, subtraction. Now you can see 8. Alright, you see we have it here, we also what, have it here. So we are using what, this what, function. Alright, so this is how what, function works. This is how function works. And alright, so let me zoom in. You can see it. Okay, so don't forget the function keyword in small letter, the function name followed by what, opening and closing of the what bracket, then your what, opening of the curly brace, closing of the curly brace, then inside you give it what, the statement or code that you want it to what, execute. All right, then to call the function you just use what, the name and the open and the closing of the word bracket. All right, then you can add your what, your semicolon. All right, now if it's a function that has parameters, you are going to be what, including parameters here and also what, here. All right, so we'll be seeing that on our what, upcoming what, classes. All right, okay, so be able to what, create a function. You can say, okay, this is what, this is a function for addition and what, subtraction. You can create a function for what, division and okay, division and multiplication. All right,